welcome to my house. It's kind of a mess right now. The cleaners are like legally entitled to take a day off or something. It's ridiculous. So over here are the slaves' servants' quarters. It's fine, all right? They're like mostly white, I think. I don't know. I don't actually make eye contact with them. They're kind of sad, and I'm all about like good vibes only, you know? Yeah, like the German side of my family got really rich in the 1930s. I don't really know why. Every time my mom would get angry at my great-grandma, she'd always say something about like calling up Mossad and it's gonna be over for you. I don't really know what that means though. These are like my favorite pieces of jewelry. I stole this from my mom, but it's fine because she like stole my childhood. My grandpa actually like snatched this off of the arm of like some random Indian woman when they were on vacay, and she was like, no, por favor. Or I don't know, like whatever the Indian version of that is, like, no, Vishnu or something. It's kind of tacky, but I don't know, it's something to put on the dogs. Greetings, peasants. Welcome back to my channel. I normally do not enjoy watching rich and attractive people cavort around on social media, okay? I know that some people find that to be aspirational. They live vicariously through them. The only thing that this kind of content inspires me to do is look at a revolver like it's a cheeseburger. You catching my drift? But on occasion, I will indulge in some masochism. Okay, I will go down the rabbit hole of what is referred to as RichTok. Am I late to the party once again? Yes, of course. Okay, I'm elderly at this point. I'm slowly being replaced by Gen Alpha. I don't know what a skibidi toilet is, and at this point I'm too afraid to ask. And I know it's not going to be anything interesting. I know it's not going to be some sort of new, synthetic substance that 6th graders are tweaking off of. No, it's just going to be some stupid poo-poo caca meme. Now, rich people flexing their wealth in front of you, dirty little peasants, is not new by any stretch of the imagination. Rich people flexing generally isn't exactly new, but now, they have iPhones, so they can broadcast their decadence to the world. It used to be that the rich barely interacted with the peasant folk. They might have, maybe ridden their carriage next to a field, and then a small, anemic, aristocratic child with like a blunt bob would point out the window and go, "Look, papa, poor people." But that was pretty much the extent of their interactions with the common folk. And then after the whole situation with the French, doing what they do best, I think a lot of the aristocrats and upper class realized, you know what? Maybe we need to tone it back a little bit. Now with the emergence of the internet, the mystique of the old age of wealth is all but gone, because the younger generation, who have no sense of decorum, have absolutely pimped out this lifestyle and broadcasted it to the world. And like any consummate journalist, I dove headfirst into this subculture. And let me just say this, okay? There are several things that I kept seeing pop up after immersing myself in these collages of people showing off their expensive lifestyles. I kept seeing this reoccurring trend. It's people using the term, "this is rich done right." And it will be, some very beautiful aristocratic woman. And they'll have the kind of, bone structure, natural or otherwise, that, women would bring to a plastic surgeon's office and just point at. And the surgeon's like, "Look, I'm not God." And she'll have family money because her great-grandpa invented the letter H or something. And she'll be bouging it up, looking moisturized, decadent. I mean, skin like creme brulee. I just want to crack into it and eat it with a spoon. And it's no shade towards these women, because I don't know them, frankly. But all of this commentary is about how this woman is doing rich right. She's silent. She never speaks. I've never heard her talk. She might actually be a mute. And she's bougie, but it's done in a way that's tasteful. She has a yacht, but it's modest. And the people in the comments are like, right, this is the kind of wealth that I like. It's classy. It's not overdone. It's not ostentatious. And I just think, my gosh, is the bar so astronomically low? If you are a rich person and you are not an actual psychopath, people find that to be impressive. What exactly is the expectation here? As long as they're not, driving by homeless shelters and dangling jewelry in front of these people and expecting them to chase the car on all fours like a dog, that this is a reflection that they must be a kind-hearted, Astrid from Crazy Rich Asians at heart? Of course, most wealthy people are not that cartoonishly evil. The average rich person is not going to engage in that kind of behavior. I will, I have, and I will continue to in the future. But that's not how rich people's bloodthirst manifests, okay? Their evil behavior comes in the form of not disposing of toxic waste properly. So the water supply of a small Guatemalan village gets poisoned, and now all of the children are orange. Or every Christmas, they take all of the workers whose, services they no longer need, or whose jobs are going to be automated, and they hunt them for sport. All of the dangerous game. I'm not saying that any of these women are engaging that kind of behavior. Or maybe they are. Maybe this woman is actually a beast with a crossbow. I'm just saying, the standard for how you have to conduct yourself as like a wealthy, beautiful person is so unbelievably low. As long as you are not like hiring, you know, young maids from the Philippines just to suck the youth and melanin out of them, people are going to go, you know what, she's doing rich right. And I get it. I get the fantasy, okay? I'm not knocking these women. I know I accuse them of potentially hunting poor people for sport, but that's not an insult, okay? I'm just saying if anyone is gonna make human rights violations look chic, it's them. They're showing up to The Hague in full Versace, a la Naomi Campbell showing up for her community service. I'm just saying that maybe if Heinrich Himmler was a baddie, people might have been able to forgive him. Sometimes these rich individuals will just share sweet little anecdotes from their, opulent, aristocratic childhoods.
Things I thought were normal growing up rich. I always wondered how my parents weren't broke. I literally thought they were both unemployed. Now that I'm older, I understand that my dad's an investor. But when I was a kid, I never saw any one of my parents go to an office or go on a business trip or anything like that. In fact, on my sister's first day of preschool, they picked her up in a Rolls Royce and they got so many weird stares from everyone else in the school that when it was my turn to go to preschool, they never did that for me. Because none of my parents had conventional jobs, we were always traveling for months in a year. When we were in like first grade, we skipped a whole semester of school, which looking back on is kind of crazy because we still had to pay full school fees. And then when we did go on trips, we always took our full-time nanny. So it didn't matter if we were flying private or staying in like a castle in Scotland, she was always gonna come with us.
And the comments are as you'd expect. May this lifestyle attack me. This is unrelated, but this woman does look like a little puff pastry. Like I just want to bite into her little face. I feel like her blood would taste like a light custard. I don't know what's wrong with me. I didn't expect to get so weirdly like cannibalistic in this video. They'll film content in their private family jet.
When you are flying on a plane, window or aisle?
Window. Who would pick an aisle?
Well, if you have to go to the bathroom, you don't have to crawl across people to go. That's the idea.
I don't go fly in those kind of planes.
Do you see what I mean? This is not aspirational. This makes me want to commit seppuku. If I get to 1 million subscribers, I'll do it on live. I'll do it. 1 million subscriber challenge. One individual who is arguably the queen of RichTok and who does get referenced a lot when it comes to the category of people who do rich right is Becca Bloom. She blew up several months ago, like 2025 really. I'd seen her like very shiny, very well moisturized face, you know, flash by me on the For You page on occasion. Now, Becca's family made money in tech, you know what I mean? Like she doesn't get into it. I mean, I know there's people who are definitely doing detective work and probably can post her address and her social security number. I'm not gonna do that on here, okay? Because I have some semblance of decorum. Also, I'm too lazy to do that amount of research. She's also an entrepreneur. She is the founder of StudentPal, which is an online tutoring program for kids in China, and also the co-founder of Hearth Wireless Chargers. And 2025 was kind of her year. She was listed on Time's 100 Best Creators this year, so she's not doing too shabby. And I dove in to this girl's page, okay? This is the one thing I will say about the internet, is it does let you live out your stalker fantasies in a manner that is technically ethical because they're willingly posting this online. Her content is much of what you would expect. You know what I mean? Like there's always some sort of opulent background. She's in a bougie kitchen, eating off like Versace plates. The kind of svelte physique that I think once you've like surpassed a certain socioeconomic threshold, I think you automatically drop under 120 pounds. She'll be showing off the dresses that she's wearing to these random galas or charity events to raise awareness for like people who are ugly or something. Now to be fair, amongst the general sort of enviable lifestyle content, she will use her platform to talk about like financial education. She'll mention women throughout history whose scientific contributions they were never given proper credit for. So it's not all look at me, flashy bling bling, you know? This shimmery gold dress, I mean, had me absolutely mesmerized. I mean, I feel like a cat that's transfixed on like a shiny ball of light on the wall. If she wore this in front of me, I think I would actually like start clawing at her. And then she'd pepper spray me and go, this is why I don't interact with the poor. She's got a boo, he also works in tech. You know he stays dripped out in Patagonia. You know he is always toasty. I bet he's got on Sperry's right now. I don't think he's ever not worn a boat shoe. He's built sturdy too. That man looks like he could survive a winter. I don't know where I'm going with this. Anyway, they're very cute together. And of course, she was showing off her wedding. Gorgeous. Look at that flower arrangement. Oh my gosh. Oh, I know. See, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. Like, I'm happy for them. And I'm not that much of a hater. I'm not going to see people living a good life and, you know, project my bitterness onto them. Actually, yes, I would, but I wouldn't do it on camera because I have some semblance of decorum. But this is what I mean when I say you have to be very careful the kind of content that you consume. Her dog eats better than most people. This is what they're feeding him.
Today we're gonna see which type of protein my dog likes the most. First we have a Cornish game hen. Our chef made sure not to season or salt to any of these. Next we have lamb chops. I have a feeling this is gonna be his favorite. Some crawfish. Cod's a little bit heavy, so we have some halibut. My dog hates vegetables, so we wrapped the asparagus with ribeye. We'll see if he notices. Okay, we have all 5 meats set up here. The dog restrained over here. We're gonna see which one he runs to first. Go.
Quail? I've never even had quail. I don't really want to eat it either because, I mean, besides chicken, most birds don't taste that good. It's strange that we do eat birds, isn't it? It's odd. Like, chicken is the outlier. Turkey, don't even get me started. Turkey's disgusting. It's nasty. It's overrated. It's dry. I have no respect for the animal itself. At least a chicken has chutzpah. I trust a chicken more than I trust a turkey. I don't have any ill wishes towards them. I would never hurt one, but I don't respect them. Now, considering the fact that she certainly has her own entrepreneurial ventures and comes from money, it's not like she's strapped for cash, there are people who started to question why would she, and really anyone in her situation, even bother posting on the internet? What is there to be gained? And it was around the time that she posted her, like, I don't know, like, eat breakfast with me video that people started to get a little agitated, let's say, because most of the interactions that she had were fairly positive, and they still are for the most part. Some have found the flaunting of such excessive wealth in times where a lot of people are struggling to just survive as tone-deaf and frankly dystopian, which I can understand, though others enjoy this kind of content, getting a glimpse into a fantasy life. Can't we just have our escapist fantasies without you commies writing fricking dissertations? I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but you get the gist. But after a certain point of really being, you know, aggressively pushed by the algorithm, that people become fatigued. And eventually people who aren't fans of yours are going to be exposed to your content, right? And it is a valid question to ask. What is the point of posting this sort of content to the internet? Now, you could say it's cross-promotion, right? If she wants to be a fashion influencer, if she wants to get those gigs, having a social media following is crucial at this point. Maybe she's cross-promoting her other businesses, sure. But to be honest with you, I think the reason that a lot of younger rich people are drawn towards these platforms is because as much as money is great, it's not the same thing as fame. And fame has a very specific allure to it. And I don't just mean famous for the sake of it. I'm not talking about being infamous. I'm talking about being liked and getting that specific flavor of attention that transforms into adoration. And that can get addictive. And I know a little something about that because, you know, a lot of people are very jealous of me. I mean, look at how I live. Not many people can live like this. Don't zoom into the background. You'll realize how cheap most of my possessions are. But all the money in the world cannot necessarily buy you fame. And this is where the older generation kind of lucked out because they did not grow up with the internet. They did not grow up with this need to be validated by the public. That's why they were perfectly content being rich behind closed gates. But when you grew up with the internet, that desire, that thirst for online adoration, it can be strong. But the problem is, you can't exactly be relatable while simultaneously being an aristocrat. At a certain point, people are either going to start getting jealous, annoyed, or the class consciousness is going to take over. This is the one thing that is genuinely devastating, is looking at some of the comments. Looking at some of the comments on these videos. I can't take it with the manifestation brigade. It's a form of mass psychosis at this point. The people saying something like, why am I getting this kind of content in my feed? Am I being prepared? Are riches about to come my way? Am I being prepared? I don't know what to do. I want to shake these people. I want to shake these people and go, no. It's not going to happen. Not for 99.99% of the people watching this, okay? Because let's be real, if you actually were about to have riches like this coming your way, you wouldn't really be online commenting like that, okay? You would be out there managing whatever family sweatshop you have, yelling at those kids, dangling, I don't know, like cheese sticks or whatever, you know, bare minimum form of sustenance that you're legally required to feed them so that they can get a chop on it, so that they can hurry up and make the merchandise that you're gonna sell at inflated prices. The people who have money coming their way, they're doing that. And for the individuals that are like, well, I'll just marry rich. First of all, y'all are not in the proximity of wealth to even be entertaining that delusion, okay? Most of y'all don't have the sauce like that. Most of y'all can't even do a proper squat. And if you really were about that life, you would be sitting in the lobby, the bar lounge of an expensive hotel because you've done your research. Oh, a country club is even better. And you're sitting there and you're just waiting to be noticed and you're eyeing out the men who are the heaviest drinkers there because you know what that means? An earlier death. And most of y'all are not even on that gold digger wavelength. And that's one of the most concerning things about this kind of content is that it's feeding feeding into people's, not even delusions, but it's making people want a lifestyle that, truth be told, is not only unattainable for the vast majority of people, but it's dangling it in front of them like a carrot, so you can't even be grateful for what you actually have. But I understand, you know? I understand. I know that this is what content online can do to people's brains. And the gag, of course, is that even if you are a fairly wealthy individual, the desire to present yourself, of having a lifestyle that's even more extravagant than the one that you're living, is still there. The underlying desire does not go away, even if you go up a few socioeconomic levels. Which brings me to a creator by the name of Mei Leung, I believe. Now, this was a creator that was a little bit more controversial. Becca Bloom, I will say, right, again, because I don't want to be shady towards her as a person. I don't know this woman. She was personable. She had like a soft demeanor. You know, like I understand why people liked her. And her content was just standard bougie lifestyle. Mei Leung, on the other hand, I think represented the kind of stereotypical trust fund kid that loved flexing daddy's money and would squander it on things that were frankly stupid. So she became well known for basically listing out her expenses for the month. And I'm talking like, my friend had a birthday at a club, and so we spent $32,000. 32 racks on Don Julio? I mean, at least if it was a shopping spree, you can wear most of those clothes out. That much money on a club? Squandering it, honestly. And she would usually film in this specific closet. Now, remember that closet, okay? Because it's gonna come up. Obviously, a lot of people started to get irritated with this content because it just felt like a rich kid flexing, which, I mean, to be fair, it was. And people started to point out, these are just credit card statements. This is just money that you are showing that you spent, right? These are just receipts. These are not savings accounts. This is not evidence that you actually have money. This is just evidence that you spent money. And anyone can just spend money. And to disprove this, she'd then show her credit card statements as opposed to the receipts from the club. And she was owing Amex like $40K. And this got people even more suspicious. And people were like, are you rich or do you just have credit card debt? And then, of course, the internet sleuths were on it. They started scouring through her Instagram and were like, wait a minute, there's a lot of photos on your IG page that are straight up just stolen from one of your friends. So do you actually live like this, or are you just taking other people's pics and making it seem like this is your lifestyle? People were getting suspicious. They're like, why are you only filming in this one closet, which is the same exact closet that your friend has been taking photos in? Are these even your possessions? Why are you never on vacay? Why are you always just in the back of a car? Or you're just out and about in the city, but like anybody can be out and about in a city. Sewer rats have access to those spaces. And then people started going even deeper. Now, allegedly, okay? People started speculating that Mei Leung had actually changed her name from Mei Zhang. And that back in 2015, 2016, there seemed to be evidence that she owned a Depop shop and was basically getting a bunch of complaints because people would make their orders and purchase these products that were never getting shipped out. Now, she went on live and she was refuting the claims that she was lying about her lifestyle and the stuff regarding stealing her photographs and saying like, no, this is actually an apartment that I own. These are actually my possessions. My friend just records in this closet on occasion, yada, yada.
They put out my info that I bought this apartment. So, like, I wasn't lying. Yes, the closet is on Irene's story because she came over and she was like, can I post this? And I'm like, yeah, go for it. I don't care. She literally borrows my clothes. She literally took an entire suitcase, check-in suitcase to go because she was like, can I borrow clothes for Denver?
Basically, she said, these are fabrications, these are falsehoods, these are lies. But the internet sleuths, oh, no, they were not done. They alleged that one of the reasons that she changed her name was because her father, who is a restaurateur but is also in the real estate business, was under investigation for very exploitative practices. I mean, we're talking about hiring undocumented and underage workers, housing them in very cramped conditions, not compensating many of them, conspiracy to launder money. I mean, it's a whole CVS receipt. And some of the information pertaining to this specific man and his children suggests that she actually is this guy's daughter. Now, shout out to Amy Robinson because she did make a full video that goes more into depth on this topic. I'm only mentioning it because I thought that it was interesting and I did not expect such a dark turn on that story. Again, for legal purposes, this is all alleged, but I do understand at least people being a little bit suspicious as to the full extent of her wealth. Now, I will say this, there is a difference between lying about being rich versus exaggerating how much money you got, because by any standard really, not just the standards of wealth in this country, but especially if we're looking at it from a global perspective, Mei, given that she can pay off her debts, is actually in a much better financial situation than most people. She is still living a relatively bougie life, but you can gain clout online for virtually anything. So flexing your wealth is a means by which younger rich kids are trying to build an audience. And the gag, of course, is they always get compared to each other. Now, after I dragged myself out of this rabbit hole, I was reminded precisely why I do not watch voyeuristic content like this online. Just 30 minutes of this and I was tweaking. I was exhausted. I was drained. And it does exactly what it's meant to do, which is make you completely overlook all of the blessings that you have in life. So I'm gonna end this video by giving you a challenge, okay? First of all, stop watching this content. I had to save a bunch of these videos on my TikTok for the purposes of actually including them in this video, and I'm gonna have to go back and undo all of the damage. If I see one more rich kid, flexing like a mosquito bag, I'm throwing my phone in the toilet. You know what I do to calm myself down to feel better after this? Besides punching my stuffed animals. And you know what? They deserve it, okay? They're always looking at me a little bit different, and their chicken is always dry, so don't feel bad for them. What I always do in the morning, my mom would always tell me to do this when I was younger. And you know what? She was right. I list out all of the things that I'm grateful for. And I mean the smallest things, right? Like clean water, having food, a roof over your head, a bed, warm clothes, having family, having friends, having your mobility, having your sanity. I don't know if that's necessarily a box I can check off. However, going through a list every single morning, and heck, do it at night too, before you go to bed. That way you can tuck yourself in and go, I lived a good day. And then you go off to sleep, which, I don't know what your nighttime routine is, but mine is that of apparently a Looney Tunes character. I want you to do those morning gratitudes every single morning. Every single morning. So the next time that you happen to see a video of a beautiful woman on a yacht, instead of feeling envious, instead of getting bitter, you can look at that image through the lens of gratitude. And also through a conspiratorial lens where you're questioning who owns that yacht. What is she doing on there? And how can she afford such a bougie lifestyle with only 30k followers on IG and barely any sponsored posts? It does make you think. Anyway, as always, thank you for watching. Shout out to my patrons. If you would like to donate to my Patreon, then please click on the link in the description or the one that's on screen. Thank you to my other lovely patrons. Your names should be scrolling on screen as I speak. Bye.